Hi guys, welcome to episode 37 of Get Your Buzz On. My name is Victoria Hahn and I am with special guest. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nick Riley.
Nick Riley, and owner of
Paso Water Softeners.
And you do a bunch of different things too, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah, which is awesome, so it's perfect. So, I didn't know that was going to pop out so easily. So how are you feeling after last night? Day after election.
Hungover, right?
Well, like I was telling you, I'm just so tired. I'm like, I just want to know who's going to be the president. What's going on? Like,
yeah, so we can stop drinking.
Yes, exactly. I'm just like, come on now. I'm ready to get it on board. But I mean, it's just been an exhausting. I just think this year has been really exhausting for a lot of people.
Yeah, it has. I won't ask you who you voted for, though.
I won't do that. Well, we can go back and forth, but
yeah.
I'm like, we have pretty similar views on that.
Cheers.
Cheers. So how's your business and everything been during this process? And explain what your business is.
So, it's El Paso Water Softeners, so you would assume that we sell water softener, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But no, so we originally started off just selling clean water. Mm-hmm. And then what we've done is, about 2 years ago, we decided to diversify a little bit and wanted to get into air purification. Mm-hmm. So, I grew up with asthma. My kids have real bad allergies. Mm-hmm. You start just looking at some of the stats and how you could clean the air inside the home, how it affects kids. And come to find out that El Paso has some of the worst air quality in the nation. So we decided to diversify. I found a couple manufacturers. We went with what we thought was the best technology, and now we sell clean air. So when you encompass the two of them, you have clean water and clean air. It's a healthy home concept that came from the hospitality side, hotels, and we do pure wellness homes.
Okay.
So it's essentially making your house, the two things you consume inside your home, air and water, outside the food that you eat.
Yeah.
And we're controlling that and making that as healthy as we can for homeowners.
Well, especially right now with COVID going on, mm-hmm. How does that help those units help your home with the air?
COVID really is just, it's a particle size. Uh-huh. So when you size it out, COVID is a 0.005 micron in size. And the technology, the air technology that we have can disinfect up to a 0.007 micron. So the air technology we have, which no one would have known this 2 years ago. It's just more about allergies and asthma and some of the things that we combat inside the home. But in having that technology when COVID hit, it's just one of those, I think we were kind of lucky. It's kind of happened for the right reasons, right? Like some divine intervention. Yeah. But we have the technology to help fight that. So what we've been doing, especially during COVID, is really hit social media real hard and showing people what we're doing, mm-hmm. and how they can essentially just make their homes healthier. Because at the end of the day, your house is airtight, right? We all know Energy Star rated. Yeah. No one buys a house now that's not told it's not Energy Star rated. Yeah. So what happens is these houses are airtight. Well, nothing gets out. That's true. If nothing gets out and you're sneezing, coughing, viruses, bags from inside, contactless delivery or whatever, but you got all these viruses and odors floating through the air system, and you're going to breathe that in at some point. Yeah. So if we can put an air cleaner inside a house and disinfect all that, at least you know you're consuming clean air.
That's a good point. I never thought about that, because like you said, everything's sealed in, and then my kids, I have 2 kids, and they're virus monkeys. They bring in everything.
Kids are like the dirtiest creatures on earth, right?
I know. That's what I tell people. I'm like, COVID is dormant in my children, because I swear they bring in everything.
Well, and because our spaces are built so tight that the quality of the air inside is, in some cases, 50 times worse indoors than it is outside.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think.
And then now everyone's at home, right? Stay-at-home orders. Yeah. Kids aren't going to school, so now we're just all inside this house, and it gets stuffy. Yeah. Right? Cabin fever. It's not cabin fever. You just have all these organisms and volatile organic compounds and stuff from cleaning, and people are like ultra cleaning, right? Yeah. So you're cleaning everything with all this Lysol. Well, at a certain temperature, humidity, all those organic compounds release into the air, and then you're consuming all that. Huh. So you're more inclined to get sick being at home than you would be if you're outside, or, right, depending on the air quality outdoors.
Well, that's what they were saying when they first did the stay-at-home order, that everyone was staying at home, and then people were getting more sick being home, and that they needed vitamin D and they needed to be outside. So
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, it contradicted itself too, because it was like, okay, so you want us to stay home, but now you want us to be outside because of that.
It becomes scary, right? You're like, you don't
Yeah.
know what to believe. So we went from just selling or helping people get clean water to helping people get clean air, or in most cases, both.
Huh. And how much are those units to put in the house, and how many would you recommend?
Well, we have portables, so in case we can't get into the ductwork, which
Yeah.
in some cases, some of these air handlers are kind of harder to get access to, or the furnace closet's real small. But if we can't get an inline unit into your HVAC system, then we have portables. The inline units roughly will clean about 3,000 square feet worth of space. A portable unit like the one I have in the office here that you see, that one will clean about 1,500 square feet.
Huh.
And then we have compact units, where these little white ones, really neat and slick, and you would essentially put those in like an office, and that'll clean about 750 square feet.
And what are the, if someone's like, that's going to be really expensive, I can't afford it, or what do you?
Well, no, I don't think that they're too expensive. I mean, but it's just like anything. It's an air cleaner. They're gonna run you a few $100s.
Yeah.
But in terms of the expense, I mean, I think right now it's during that time where it's like, you know, what's more important, cleaning the air? Are you breathing healthy air, or saving a few dollars? So I guess it's up to the consumer, but I don't think that they break the bank. They're priced pretty fairly. I know there's a number of different products that you can get, but it's just preference, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, you're educating people. For me, for example, if I got COVID, being out 2 weeks would just be horrible, just because of work and everything like that. So you bring up a good point too. It just depends on how much.
Well, yeah, that, and then it's like you want to. It's kind of like you prepare for the worst, right? So if someone gets sick in your house, what's that going to do to you in terms of not being able to go to work, or hospital bills, or so forth? I think the biggest thing, and where air pairs really well with water, is when you do have clean water. The premise behind having clean water is that it saves you money. So what we've been able to do is, when you encapsulate the two, if you think about it, if we can save you money on the water side, it helps you pay for the air side.
Yeah.
So essentially, you can get clean air and clean water, and if you do it with the water's getting clean water is going to help you be able to pay for getting clean air.
And with the water, what's that people don't know about your guys' water system, and how, because I just have regular tap water and I use a Brita filter.
Well, the biggest difference between what we sell and anything else that you'll find on the market is, and everyone will tell you, this is a 10-stage, 2-stage, 12-stage, this gets down to whatever. They're all pretty much built the same in terms of what it can do in cleaning and softening the water. There's not a whole lot you can do there to soften the water, but the difference that you get is in the technology and the valve. So the best way for me to put this in layman's terms is, if you had a choice to buy a car and one got 100 miles a gallon or one got 10 miles per gallon, which car are you going to go with?
The 100 for sure.
Because it's going to save you money down the line,
Yeah.
right? So the product that we sell, although the price might not be as cheap as some of the stuff you might find at Home Depot or maybe through some other companies, but ours is meant to last long, and it's more of an eco-friendly thing in terms of cost down the line. So it doesn't use as much water to regenerate, and you're not going through or burning through tons of salt to help regenerate your system. So it's just a really eco-friendly machine, and that's really comes down to the biggest difference. Or some air cleaners, you get an air cleaner like the one that we have here, and maybe it's rated for 1,000 square feet, but then you have to change the filter every 3 months.
That's the one I have at my house. It's you have, they're nasty though.
And when you change the filter,
it's
gross, right?
It's so nasty. That's what I tell people. I'm like, if you don't have an air filter, I don't care. I mean, I obviously use yours, but people have to have an air filter. It's
well,
disgusting.
But the worst thing is people think they have air filters because they have the little pleated filters in the returns, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't do anything either.
Well, even then, it does a little bit, but then most people don't even change them. So then you don't change them, and then your unit gets backed up, and then your AC goes out, and it's a mess.
Yeah.
So the one that we sell, you don't have to change but every 2 years. And then every 2 years, someone from my office calls you and says, hey, look, your filter, it's time to change. So we're definitely handling the service on that.
Yeah.
So it protects your unit, and you don't have to change filters all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the biggest difference really just becomes how efficient the machines are.
Mm-hmm.
Not having to change the filters every 3 months. With our water softeners and water purification units, you're not having to burn through tons of salt and so forth. And that's burning through salt doesn't seem like bad, but they're 40-pound bags or $6 a bag. If you're doing that once a month,
Yeah.
twice a month because your system's not efficient, it ends up becoming more of a headache than anything that helps you.
Yeah. Well, and then what do people not know? Like, what it helps? What does it help when you do use the water softener?
What's the best way for me to put this? Black Friday shopping, right?
Yeah.
How do people act during Black Friday shopping?
Crazy.
They're crazy
Yeah.
because they're getting a discount, right? What's
Yeah.
the discount you get on Black Friday? Like, what's the biggest discounts you've seen?
Like half off, 40% off.
Okay, you shop at Costco?
Yeah.
What if Costco had an 80% off all household cleaners and all everything in Costco? What do you think the line would look like?
Crazy.
And they marketed it.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? What they should do is just do that and put a bunch of water softeners inside. Because what happens is when you buy a water softener, you're going to use 80% less of all your household cleaners. How many household cleaners do you have in your house?
Oh, I have a ton. You walk in and it smells like bleach.
So if we put them all on the table, it'll cover the whole table, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if for every single product that you bought from now through the rest of your life, you got 80% off on all those products. Would it save you a little bit of money or a lot of money?
A lot.
When you have clean water, that's what it does for you.
Huh.
Whether it be my company, anybody else's company, having soft water, it saves you on all your household cleaners, like on everything. Like even from like your toothbrush. You know, like the commercials, like the toothpaste is like real,
Yeah.
like a cool little like Nike sign on it or whatever. Well, if you have clean water, you can literally put like a tiny drop on your toothbrush, and it's like you're like Cujo.
Really? It's just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I didn't know that.
So you'll end up using 90% less on all your soaps. So when you have clean water, it's like you own Costco. You get everything at cost
I love it.
or cheap.
Well, and then does it help your skin? I did hear it helps your skin a lot, like in the shower and everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In your
Well,
hair.
especially if you have a newborn, right? So one of the girls that works in our office, Brandy, she just had a baby, and it's really important to have clean water because what happens is the hard water, right? Babies, they develop, they sleep, eat, right, and they're developing at a really fast rate when they're young. Well, when you have a newborn, you're developing a layer on your skin that helps protect from harmful chemicals and so forth. It's part of the development stage. Well, when you're bathing babies in hard water,
Yeah.
it doesn't allow that barrier to grow, and then you're more inclined to have skin issues later on in life.
Oh.
So some of us, right, like I grew up, we didn't have water softener, so I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm screwed. My skin's gonna, right, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
eczema forever or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you can control that and you know that, you know how it is. We do everything for our kids.
I know.
Everything.
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 I'm like everything.
Yeah, everything. So yeah, it is very, your skin's softer, your hair is better. For women, if you color your hair,
Yeah.
right? I know that's not cheap. I know because I pay for my wife to get her hair colored. I'm like, what? How much? But if I don't have to pay for that, but every 6 months instead of 3, because she's showering in clean water,
Yeah.
right? It's saving me money, and then her hair looks better longer. It's perfect.
Well, I think for me too, my hair starts turning orange because of the breath from the water.
It could be a number of things. I mean, who knows? You should see the list of all the stuff that's in the water.
Really?
And then, of course, like anything else, right? Well, it's under a certain limit. Oh, come on. Get out of here. It's under a certain limit, but it's in the water still. And I mean, the city does a good job at, the cleaning plants and getting the water to your house so you can shower in and bathe and so forth. But at the end of the day, as consumers, we want to put that in our own hands.
Yeah.
We don't want to rely on someone else and hope that they're cleaning the water or so forth. So if we can control that on our own and we have affordable options to do that, it's like a win-win for everybody.
And what made you want to get in this business?
I got into water at the end of I used to be like a personal trainer way back in the day. And my ex-wife, one of her friends, her older brother owned a water company in San Antonio. So, he would always talk to me. He was actually one of my clients. He used to train him, and he was always telling me, "Hey, bro, you should come work." And we're getting, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to sell clean water. That sounds horrible. I'm a trainer. Like, this is the coolest job ever, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it just turns into like you can grow up a little bit, and you realize that it's time to maybe move on. So I got involved with him, and then one time coming back home right when I was in college, coming back home to see my parents for Thanksgiving, I was like, I'm gonna take my water kit. And I went home and I'm like, Mom, oh my God, look at this water. And then the wheel started turning. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. And I went to the Far East. It was early Far East, like
Yeah.
barely off of
When
Tierra Este or whatever, right? So I go out there and I knocked the whole block. I just knocked on the door and carried a little chart and like, do you have a water softener? No. And I knocked like 50 houses before I could find one person at a water softener.
Huh.
I was like, I'm from El Paso. So I started thinking, like, you know what, I'm going to open up my own water company and help all my fellow El Pasoans get clean water.
Yeah, for sure. Where'd you go to college?
UTSA.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about getting in the building. I majored in architecture, and that was like, I mean, that was all right. I've always been kind of like creative and so forth, but
yeah.
I'm too outgoing to sit there and draw like 8 million
You're
lines
like,
on a
no,
board.
not
I'm like,
at all.
hey, when can we do CAD? What is this? Are it pencils?
You're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
So yeah, I did that for a while, and it was just like, man, it just wasn't me. And I remember dropping out of school. Told my dad, I'm like, I'm done with this, man. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go personal training. He's like, what? You're gonna do what? A personal trainer? You're an idiot. I remember he was so mad, so mad. You know, I probably would be too if I was in his shoes. You know, so I got out of architecture school. I got into personal training. I did that for 10 years. Bought my first home in San Antonio, all that, and then I went for a career change at some point, and then it just kind of all worked out.
Yeah.
And
What was something that the personal training taught you now in business?
Well, it really has structured how we run this business, and it's people say that I'm in sales, but it's not sales. We're in service-based sales. So the health club that I worked at, let's say, we'll give you an example. I would sell anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000 a month in personal training.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't make $10,000 or $15,000 a month in training, right?
Yeah.
Gym gives you your cut. But what the gym would do is, you would sell, and then let's say I sold you 30 sessions.
Yeah.
Now I would sell you your 30 sessions. You pay the gym, and now you have 30 sessions, and the gym would pay me a certain dollar amount for every 30 sessions. So if my service wasn't good enough to keep you in through those 30 sessions, I wouldn't make my cut on that deal.
Yeah, because they'd be like, well, we're not getting paid, you're not
So I had to show up. I had to high energy, right? I had to be there. I had to be involved and keep you motivated. And if not, then the gym just ate all the money. It's probably good for them.
Mm-hmm.
So when I opened up this company, it became very much that, to where it wasn't necessarily just us being able to sell a product, but how we could service it.
Yeah.
And how we could sell it and continue to service it and make sure that people knew that although you're buying a product, we're going to be out here every 3 months to make sure the equipment works.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who tells you that manufacturers have a lifetime warranty on their products are lying. So what we've done is we've created a lifetime warranty through us that goes through a service plan. So what we do is, if I can go out and service every 3 months, I can catch stuff that normally is going to make something go bad.
Yeah.
And we're just very service based.
Yeah.
And being a trainer really taught me that. Having to get up at 5 in the morning, having to do that, you don't overpromise and underdeliver, and if you do, it doesn't work out for you very long.
No, not at all.
I've seen a lot of salespeople come and go in their respective sales worlds because of that.
Yeah.
And here we really do preach that, not to overpromise and underdeliver.
So when you were personal training, what got you into that business? Was it your health or?
Well, I mean, I dropped out of architecture school. Like, this wasn't for me. And that's actually a really funny story. Insurance, right? Jaime Luna is an insurance agent for State Farm out of San Antonio, and he's actually one of the top State Farm agents in the country. I mean, this guy's awesome. And I was living with him and my older brother at the time. And my older brother was deployed at the time. I think he was in Afghanistan. So just me and Jaime at this house. And I dropped out of architecture school, and I went on like a 2-month bender.
Yeah.
Like, I was drinking every night. I think I ran up every credit card I had. It was just like, right, I dropped out on I was a stupid young kid, just whatever.
Fuck it. You're like, whatever.
So one morning, I remember Jaime coming in the house, and I was still asleep, and it was like noon. And he had came in, and he's like, what are you doing, man? Are you fucking kidding me? It's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You need to get up, or not the middle of the night, but it's middle of the day, I'm sorry. You need to get up. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, bro. Leave me alone. and he came back and he dumped a bucket of water on my face. And I'll never forget this. Actually, look at my LinkedIn, and it's a LinkedIn story I have.
Oh my God.
And he dumps a bucket of water on my face. I've known him my whole life. He grew up with my older brother. And I got up and I was mad, like we were gonna fight, right? Like I was mad. And he got in my face and he was mad almost to where he was about to cry. And he's like, dude, you're way too talented for this. This is bullshit. You need to get your act together. And he really kind of just snapped some life into me. And I got up, I worked out, whatever, and I came back home. When I came back home, he'd thrown a folder on the table. And he said, you're going to go apply tomorrow. The only thing I've seen you do this last 2 months is you still go and work out every day. He's like, so I talked to the fitness manager. I got you a job. You fucking show up tomorrow. You got a job. The compensation plan's good. They had a 401k, the whole nine. And that's the job I started working where I bought my first home.
That's crazy.
And I worked there for, like 8 years. I was like a professional trainer. And I got every certification you can imagine. Just built what I thought I could build myself into.
Yeah. And that's a true friend.
Yeah.
That's like out for your best
interest.
Those
are the real ones.
Yeah,
they're
like, wake up, let's go.
Yeah, and he just kind of snapped me out of it, and I got into training, and then my mindset was there, and I was the first guy in the gym in the morning, the last guy there at night, and I did really well. I was like one of the head trainers at my health club, and I did. Training was definitely a fun time in my 20s.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was the perfect job. What's the biggest misconception that people have about being a personal trainer?
Well, I think the biggest thing you see, at least from what I see, is that not everyone's a personal trainer. I mean, you might work out and can give some good advice, but it doesn't mean you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I know I spent a lot of money getting certifications and really learning how to be able to train people who maybe had like severe weight issues. I've dealt with people like that. My dentist to this day, she was at our house last year for Thanksgiving. And when I started training her, she was one of the very first clients I ever had. Her husband had just passed away. He was on his way home, had a heart attack in the car flipped, and he died on scene. And she was in the health club. She was there 2 weeks later, and they walked me up to the office. They're called TOs, turnovers. So sales rep gets her signed up. They call a trainer. I walked in, and there she was, and she was like out of shape. She had full gray hair. She looked bad.
Yeah.
And her thing was that her husband he worked out all the time.
Yeah.
And he used to always tell her, you need to work out, you need to take care of yourself. And she's like, I owe it to him. And it was bad. So we started training, and she would do a couple squats with the ball on her back, like real easy stuff, and then she would start crying. And then we would just walk around the gym for a few minutes, and she was ready. We'd do a couple more, walk around the gym. And I trained her for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and you should see her now. She's like full of life. Really? Full of life.
That's crazy.
She smiles from ear to ear. She comes over. She's still, her dental practice is doing good. She does dental stuff for the Army, where she goes, and it's like her and 3 other dentists doing like 500 soldiers in one weekend.
Wow.
And she's just full of life.
So you just built that relationship with her.
Yeah, so there's some of that, right? There's the salesmanship and building relationships and rapport and so forth, But as a trainer, it was that, like, knowing how to take a special population and you're responsible enough to, like, where I can train her.
And not everyone's the same.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, oh, well, I've done a bodybuilding show, or I'm like, I'm like super lean. Like, that would have never have helped her.
Yeah.
So I think the misconception I've seen even now at the gyms now, you see a lot of people who call themselves trainers, but it's like, dude, just because you work out doesn't mean you're a trainer.
Yeah.
Like, how do you handle? I had a guy that I trained that had cerebral palsy, and it was almost like right. He was just his. I don't even know how to explain it appropriately, but it was hard for him to get around.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge to train him, and it was really me going back through the books and making sure that what we were doing was right and appropriate. Yeah. And I don't really think you get a whole lot of that. I think that's a misconception with training, is like, oh, you have a sweet body, you should be a trainer. It's like, well, no, go read a book.
Yeah. Well, and each one's different, because you have women and hormones. Like, that's my biggest thing with, like, not to be mean on men, but that you guys can just eat clean for a week and lose 10 pounds. And me, I might maybe lose like half a pound.
No, definitely, I'll give you that. Having testosterone does make it extremely easier to gain, lose weight, or whatever, fitness wise, to get into shape or not. So there is some of that. I'll give you that.
I've had dreams of like stabbing my husband every time like we start like eating right.
Give
and
me your
like
testosterone.
Yeah, no, he's just like, oh, I've lost 10 pounds this week, and I'm like, the twitch starts, and I'm like, how much weight have you lost? And then I go on, and I'm like, he's like, well, it's just because you don't need to lose that much, and I'm like, I'm just like, I haven't been drinking, I haven't been eating,
gosh.
It's like I've deprived myself of everything,
Yeah.
and then to get that result is like, yeah.
Well, maybe you just need a really good trainer. I don't know.
Like
a real trainer.
And you know what though, I hate working out. Like I'm so bad at that.
No, well, but there's nothing wrong with that because you can't out-train a bad diet anyways.
Yeah.
So if you could just eat good,
Yeah.
eating good is like
And
80% of it.
Eat good. That's easy for me. It's the alcohol.
I know, me too.
I'm like,
Definitely
I
me
can
too.
do vodka. I can eat fine. Like
Yeah.
I can be without certain things, but it's the alcohol that I'm like,
Me
Mama
too.
needs a break.
I'm a champagne guy, so I love champagne.
Yeah.
I like margaritas. I'm like, I drink like a woman for sure. It's got to be sweet. Like if it's
You
sweet,
have your pina coladas
if it's
and
sweet,
everything.
bubbly, or frozen and delicious, oh, I'm all for it.
So that's
like,
why you were like, I'll be on the podcast with the champagne.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, champagne, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I even, like, I got my hormones tested too, and they were completely out of whack, but it's
Yeah.
just like, it's just unfair for women, man.
No, it is. And then y'all are the ones who have to carry our children, right? Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
tough being a
how many
woman.
kids do you have?
3. Well, two are mine, and then my wife, one's from a prior.
But I bet you she's fit, is she?
Yeah, she's in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because you both are like, probably the same type of personalities to where.
Yeah, she's in real good shape.
How does she find time to work out?
I mean, we have a couple things at the house that you can use, like on the go, like a TRX band, which is like a suspended band. You can do a lot of like core workouts and stuff, but it really comes down to just, it is, you make time for what's important, Like I know that there's times where I'm sure, I'm sure she'd rather maybe stop at a happy hour and she'll come home, hit the gym on the way home, and then, right? Like,
Yeah.
she'll make time for it, but I don't know, man. She's pretty badass.
Yeah. I'm like,
I don't know. Like,
because I still try to figure out like how to put that in my day-to-day stuff, like working out or at least doing something.
it really
physical.
becomes a thing. I mean, I think especially when you're self-employed, which we are, it really becomes a thing where she has to, and you know how it is in your schedule, you have to schedule in your own time.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and you let business and all your clients and everything else take over your schedule, you're gonna have a hard time
Yeah.
fitting. And then, right, then the fulfillment's not there because you can't work out or do whatever it is that you like. So I think with her has been her having to be really strict on, especially when I'm not there, for her to take the kids to school and go straight to the gym.
Yeah.
And then her day starts after that, right?
Yeah.
But then that's challenging. Then you have a podcast to shoot at 10 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
well,
you
that
can't-
and then,
you
or
can't
I'm
do
at
that.
the office at 9, so it's like, how do you?
Yeah.
And then by the time I pick up my son and then get dinner ready and then do that, I'm tired,
Yeah.
you know?
And then on my side, then it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm at the golf course. I'm like, must be nice, and I get some of that. Yeah.
You would die. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
kill you. I'd be like,
You would kill me for
yeah,
sure.
I'd be like,
Yeah,
I'm dead.
because we're actually golfing this afternoon. Yeah, I have a tea time at 2:00.
So you're like, I'm ready to go. No,
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have gotten my buzz on
So you're like, it's
It's gonna be
perfect.
perfect, yeah.
What golf course are you gonna be playing at?
at the country club, El
Oh,
Paso
that's
Country
cool.
Club. Yeah.
I like my husband's into all that stuff, so I'm like, okay,
Uh-huh.
have fun.
Well, let him know if he ever wants to golf with us. There's a group of us. We always go.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
How often do you go? Because I'm okay with like once a month.
You sound like a few of the buddies I golf with. That's how their wives sound for sure.
Well,
I probably golf. Well, then I have my son in golf lessons, so that allows
that's
me
good.
allows me a little bit more time, right?
yeah.
I grew up playing golf with my old man.
yeah.
So now it's like a thing. Even my brother's getting his daughters into golf, just to carry over that tradition because we played with my old man growing up.
I mean, it's a great sport. I tell anyone that gets involved. When I was younger, my dad even had me in golf lessons and like
Yeah.
tennis, tried to get me to do all that stuff. But I'm just not an active person. Like honestly, I'm really bad. Like I have my hand-eye coordination. Like
Yeah.
And I'm just not active at all. Like,
That's all right.
even my friends that, like, they'll even attest to this when it came to working out, because we would do, like, group workouts. Like, okay, Victoria, let's get you motivated. And then I'd end up just talking to the trainer, like, hey, so I don't want to do these squats. Let's talk about your personal life. And then and they're just like, Victoria, you always get out of, like, doing all the exercises. And that's just how I am.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I mean, you got to have fun with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, but my problem was that I'd just get out of it, and then they'd forget because they'd start talking about their stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Well, see, that's what's cool about golf, because we're out there for 3.5, 4 hours, so you're just shooting the shit for 3 hours. Awesome.
Well, I don't have an issue with golf, but when it's the 18 holes, it's like all day.
The golf round takes about 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, you get there an hour before.
Mm-hmm.
It does take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But notice how I ditched your question, right? I kind
Yeah.
of like danced around.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and then usually.
There's a guy at the gym who wants to start golfing with us. He's a pharmaceutical rep. And he came up to me actually 2 days ago. He said, hey man, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He says, I see you guys come in here and you do a little bit of cardio and you stretch and then you guys dip. He goes, you guys are fucking playing golf every day, aren't you? I said, I think we play a little more than we should, yeah. We definitely get on the golf course a lot, but yeah, we golf probably 3 days a week.
Oh my gosh, that's,
Yeah.
well, like I said, your wife, you have a nice wife. That's all I have to say.
Have a what?
You have a nice wife.
She's very nice,
Yeah,
very nice. But you know what? Sometimes I know when it's like, you know, she's having a stressful day. She's like, "What are you
With the
doing?"
kids.
I'm like, "Oh shit, here, one of my guys are calling me. I'll call you back." You know, and then I'm like, "Let me send some food to the house or something." Like,
Yeah.
man. So I know.
Because mine after, like, because he works at Rocky, so it's like after 5, I'm like, okay, it's 5:15. Where are you at? Let's come. And then, you know, pass him over.
Well, but I'll say this too, like, in all fairness too. I mean, yes, I golf probably 3 days, at least 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
But in all fairness, I've been in service-based sales, 100% commission sales. Like, I haven't made $1 I didn't sell since I was 20 years old.
And that's awesome.
So I've been in the trenches for a long, long time.
Yeah.
That's what I get with some of my younger sales guys. Like, oh, must be nice, boss. You're golfing. I'm like, dude,
You've
I've
been
been
doing
like
all-
what
yeah.
you've been doing for a year and a half, dude. I've done for 15 years, bro. I was the guy who woke up, and it was like when I first started training, they would have like, oh, they would call them their first workout. So every new member got one free training session with a trainer.
Yeah.
And at the training meetings, it was like he would have like 10 sheets. I got this lady, she wants 5 a.m. Everyone.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like looking around, I'm like, I'll take it, and I'll take all the early stuff. You know, but it was that mindset where it's like you had to put in your time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I tell all my, or even some of the realtors I know. I know some young realtors and some guys that I know are going to be real successful, and sometimes like, oh man, I can't go today, dude, because I got this. I'm like, don't worry about it, bro. Golf's going to be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
We can golf whenever. You take care of your business first, and everything else will take care of itself. And I did that for a lot of years.
Yeah.
You know, so even now it's like, and I think, and my wife knows that. She knows how long I've been in, I call it the trenches, because it's just up at 4 and you get home at 8.
Yeah.
And you get to spend a couple hours with the kids, and it's time for bed and you start over. And I've done that 6 days a week for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, it's not like oh, I deserve it, but it's like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We have, let's say 18 employees here. We own 3 businesses. We got a lot of things going. It's like, you know what? You deserve to get out there a little bit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But sometimes it's like we could tame it down a little bit sometimes. Sometimes we're like, dude, we should not be having this much fun on the golf course.
Well, it's like once one time I had my husband, I was pregnant with our first, my son, and I was like, well, I can't do anything for his birthday, so I want him to have like a fun golf day. So I called the Horizon Golf Course, and I ended up getting like a keg for them, and they had the what do you call the waiter?
Oh, like a cart girl or something?
Yeah, but she was with them the whole time. I'm like,
Oh, caddy.
yeah, I was like, just have, well, not a caddy, but she was like the server all day.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just want you to be with them all day. So if they want other alcohol, if they want food, so I ordered food, I did the keg, I did like the shots and all that stuff.
Dang, I'm going to tell you when my birthday is, okay?
Oh gosh. He was like, that day, I mean, and I was pregnant, so I was completely sober. Yeah, it was a shit show. I had to go to the country club and apologize to about all his little. They were like calling me like little kids, like you need to talk to her because they were naked. They were.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was hilarious. But he was like, I had the best time. It was
Yeah.
perfect.
When you get, we always say this, when you get a bunch of grown men away
Yeah.
from their wives, we literally all go back to the time we were 17.
Oh,
And,
that's all it is.
All the same jokes are funny.
Yeah,
And we're
like-
like super immature. It's, yeah.
He wasn't doing anything crazy. It was just like they were just on the golf course doing stupid shit. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. And
Yeah.
then the ladies calling me. They even got the cart girl fired.
Oh my God.
Because she started drinking. She was wasted by the time I showed up. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is my husband.
They should make, what was one of those memes they used to have where it was like 6 blocks and it says, when I go golfing, my wife thinks, and it can, or
Yes.
my wife thinks, my mom
Yeah.
thinks, my,
Oh, no, I think worst case, because then by the time it's like 5, he's already passed out. I mean, that day, because they started at 7.
Uh-huh.
By the time he got home, it was like 4.
yeah,
And he
that's,
was
yeah.
asleep, dead.
Yeah, we've done, whenever there's golf tournaments,
Yeah.
those are the biggest shit shows. Because at least when you're, like, if we golf, like me and my 5 friends golf, we're say gambling. We play for skins.
Mm-hmm.
And skins are like a couple dollars a skin. So we're playing for money. It's not big money or nothing like
Yeah.
that, but we play for a few bucks a hole, right? So you want to play good. So
Yeah.
there's guys who are going to maybe have 1 beer and that's it, or a drink and that's it.
Yeah.
And there's some guys who are like, I don't give a shit. It's $2 a hole, whatever, I'm
Yeah.
going to lose. But when you play in tournaments, it's a 4-man scramble, which means all 4 guys hit, and we only have to play one of our balls. And then we all hit again from that best shot. So then there's no pressure. So then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, if I hit a bad shot, who cares? Because one of my 3 idiot friends is going to hit a good shot, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll be good.
You're like, it's all
So
good.
tournaments are always, man, if you go to a golf tournament, or if your husband ever goes to a golf tournament, make sure you pick him up at the end of the tournament because he probably shouldn't be driving.
Oh,
home.
no, that's, well, and then we had the, ERA does the MDA.
Uh-huh.
So I was pregnant again with our second kid, and I was driving around the golf cart, giving people beers because I was promoting our insurance business.
Yeah.
But I also was like, okay, what am I going to do? And that was another one that was just like, oh my God.
You're like, dude, are you serious? That's where you record. You're like, someone come get their
Well,
mans.
that's
or
why
what do
it's
people
so
say?
funny
Come get
because
your
like
husband.
they're like, we don't really drink. He doesn't really drink during the week, but it's because once we start, it doesn't stop from there.
Yeah.
How do you balance? Well, because you said that you guys are in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance like family life and everything?
I mean, you don't, in a sense. You just do the best that you can. I think I struggle with it. I think more than the kids do. They're more resilient to it, right? Because when I'm gone, life goes on, and they're kids, right? They're sponges,
Yeah.
so everything's new, and they're just growing and learning. I know my son misses me more than my daughter because he's older, right? Like he kind of realizes I'm gone a little bit, but I think it just really becomes trying to be super present when I am back home, But what I try to do to balance it the best I can is if I'm here for 2 weeks, I'm over there 2 weeks. If I'm here for a week, then so I make sure that I'm at least there half the time. And then of course FaceTime and so forth, But there's only so much you can balance it. When I'm gone, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like I have to work. And I make jokes here all the time at the office. I'm like, all right, well, I think you guys are ready, so I'll see you guys in 12 months. Like, you better not. No,
Yeah.
you better not. Because I do, like any business owner, I bring a lot of value to my company.
Yeah.
So I definitely have to be here. But I don't get too tied up into it, and I don't enjoy the golf with my friends too much. Most of the times, like if I could have a perfect situation, my family would be here, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have to travel. But it's just kind of a fact of the matter. You just make the best of it.
How come you guys haven't moved to El Paso?
Well, I'm gonna blame it on my ex.
I'm like,
I'll blame it on the ex.
I'm like, and then I get into the personal questions.
Yeah.
My husband's always like, why do you start asking?
Well, it's my ex-wife's fault for sure. No, but she's from El Paso. So her family's from here, but she's built a career in San Antonio. She doesn't want to move back. So she went from living here to she moved to San Antonio, and we'd gotten married, and she's been in hospice. She's a hospice she markets for hospice. So they call it sales, but it's not sales, they market.
Yeah.
So she's been doing that forever. So she's built a career. People know her. She doesn't want to start over.
Yeah.
I don't blame her for it. So for me, all right, well, I'm going to travel.
Yeah.
But if she ever decided to move, I know that we would move over here in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just going to be a traveling guy for a while. Yeah.
You're like, in case you want to.
Yeah.
Like,
until it gets to the point where, obviously it's the goal. I mean, we went from me being the guy in the field with my sales guys to now we've grown substantially in the past 2 years to where I'm learning to let go of a few things and delegate.
It's hard.
And letting people do some things, right? Like we have someone that completely runs the office, someone that completely runs the sales side, someone that handles all the builders, all the realtors, all the insurance agents. I have someone who's designed for that. I got someone who does all. So we're getting to the point where the office is not going to like it, or maybe they will, right? The boss is gone, but there's going to be a time where I'll maybe be here 1 week out of the month.
Yeah.
Because right now the kids are kind of young, but when they start getting in their teenage years, got to stay on them.
Well, and after 18, then they go to college
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing their thing, so you only have them that young for so long.
Yeah. So, but it's been nice. I mean, like when I'm back home, I take them to school, get them up every morning, take them to school, and then I go golf in the afternoon, and I go pick them up, right? Pick them up, get them home, we eat snacks, get them ready for my daughter's in gymnastics 2 days a week, my son's in golf lessons, so we're running around doing all that, and it really is when I just try to pick up the slack when I come back home.
But I think like what you said too, you hunt what you kill.
Mm-hmm.
You had been doing it for a long time, and that's what people don't. I see it so much, especially because we're in sales. We know with the younger generation, they want to be millionaires.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
they think, oh, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire, and then they don't want to put in the work. And I think that a lot of times people don't understand. It takes years to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I love commission because it just, you're able to build your own book and pay yourself whatever you want, but at the same time, people just don't get it.
Yeah. Or they have a couple strong months and then they just drop
plateau.
off, and then so.
Well, and it's nice because when you're in sales, if you want to go on vacation, you go.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're just like, I've been doing my work and doing what I need to do. But I think that we have a lot of the people that graduate from college and they think, oh, it's going to be completely different, and it's not. Or they expect to. They're sales guys, but they expect the same kind of free time that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've had to have that talk, right? Like
that's like we're not.
I'll give you like a guilty pleasure of mine. I say guilty pleasure because, like my old man will tell me it's the most irresponsible thing that I could do, but I have season tickets for the Spurs, and I'm on the floor. I spent a lot of money for those tickets, and my old man's like, "You're an idiot." Like, I'm like, well, Dad, you don't understand. You work 40 years at White Sands Missile Range, and you have your retirement. You had a steady income. It's different, Dad. I own sales companies. Like, my income can. He doesn't get it. But from the same side, the sales guys don't get it sometimes too. Or some of my team where it's like, I've literally had to come in here sometimes, and it's like everyone, right? It's like, you post some stuff on social media, or I'm at the game with my son and we're on the floor, and you get some of that where, younger guys, they want to have that overnight. Yeah. And it's like, dude, I wanted to be on the floor when I was your age too. Yeah. But it wasn't in the cards yet, dude. Like I didn't, it's kind of one of those like seniority almost. Like you got to earn your keep. You got to put your time in. You got to pay your dues. So I've just been one of those kids like my whole life. I've just worked harder than everybody.
Well, especially in your 20s, that's the time where you can do that stuff. You're not married. Well, if you do have kids, but you're able to put in that time because you have the energy. And then
for sure.
You want to put in that time at that age.
So now it's like some of the lavish things or some guilty pleasures like that, or golfing 3 days a week, or sitting down on the floor at the Spurs games where people can look and they're like, oh man, that must be nice. And it's like, no.
No, I've heard that.
Yeah, you don't know how many days I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and didn't get home till 9 o'clock, or even in sales days where I get home and the kids are asleep and I've been gone all day. Yeah. It's like, so definitely put the time in. I think that's the biggest misconception when I get salespeople or some of the high turnover that we had it originally was being a little bit more selective on who we bring in, because people do think you're just going to be successful overnight, and it doesn't. It takes a long time, a lot of years.
Well, and I think
a lot of consistency.
With sales, you're always going to have a high turnover with a lot of your salespeople, because I feel like a lot of times you have that one extreme, the guy that comes in and thinks that he's going to take over everything. And you have to bring them back down to reality and just be like, that's not how it's going to be. So they're unrealistic. Or you have the people that compare what the boss is doing or what they're doing. And like for me, for example, we have a great team. My dad handles all the admin, the boring accounting stuff that I would be horrible at. My mom handles the employees and the staff and everything. And then we hire people outside of El Paso and like Houston in those areas. So she manages that, and both of those are a lot. And then I do the marketing and everything. But, you see, I know a lot of them that they're probably like, oh, well, Victoria gets to leave at 2 o'clock to be with her kids. But I've worked a long time to earn that time, And I think it's just for people to realize that if you're going to start in sales, do it in your 20s and just work your ass off, so that way later on you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
And that's why I like sales, because it's like, okay, you can do whatever you want. And even now, I tell a lot of our salespeople, I don't even talk about insurance to 100% of the people we do business with that send us a lot of business, because they're like, you're good. Victoria will take care of you. You're fine. Like, girl, where's the next happy hour? And then we'll do that, But I'm not like a pushy insurance person, but it takes that time to build that relationship. And you can't look at a sale just as like in and out. You have to build that.
Yeah, it's tough. You build your rapport. I think at the end of the day, you gotta care. You gotta have the level of that. And the people that don't do well or that haven't done well here are the guys that come in. They just think they're gonna make a quick buck.
Yeah.
You can just tell they don't care, and they're just kind of in it for themselves, and that just never works out.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Zig Ziglar. You remember his quote that he talks about?
Which one's his?
If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want.
No, that's true.
Right? But you got to be willing to help other people get that first. And if you can't do that first, if that giving's not in your heart first, to help people get what they want, it's going to be a slippery slope.
Now, what advice, because you said you're a partner with your friend from kindergarten, what advice do you have anyone that's looking to open a business and get in a partnership? Because it's not easy.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
You're like, no, don't do it.
I say this, and Jeff knows. I mean, I have a special relationship in the sense that we've known each other our whole lives, like our whole lives. He was there for me when I went through my divorce. He's been there with me through a lot of tough times, and we've kind of looked out for each other. Where when he got out of the military, so he was a infantry in the Marine Corps.
Oh wow!
So when he got out of the military and he was looking for what he was going to do, I think there was a sense of he wasn't sure, right? Like when veterans get out and
because they've been used to doing.
So he wasn't sure what he was going to do, and I was there for him when he got out and kind of encouraging him to come over to the sales world, and I taught him everything I knew. I've always been just a natural salesman. I taught him everything I knew, and we started selling. But we've had this. And anyone that you ask about mine and Jeff's relationship it's just really weird. Like him and I just get along really, really well. I don't think you find that with very many people. I think a lot of people might think they have a friend like that, but they don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Especially when you get in business.
Partnerships are very, very, very difficult. I think you have to really trust who you're getting in the business with, and I think the biggest thing is making sure whoever you decide to get in the business with, that person can exercise some humility, and you have to you gotta just take care of each other. I don't know, but partnerships are rough. Outside of him, getting into partnerships is sticky, and if you do decide to do it, I think everything needs to be laid out. Like, you know what? I have 30 concerns. You come to the table with 30 concerns. You get a lawyer. I'm going to have a lawyer. And your lawyer has questions. My lawyer. And iron everything out. And if anything gets sticky and anyone gets pissed off during that meeting, then you shouldn't be in a partnership.
Yeah.
So I think that needs to be, in terms of partnerships, needs to be completely transparent. Because I think partnerships are hard. Marriage is hard, right? Partnerships are harder.
Well, like I
For
see
sure.
my parents working together. I don't know how they do that.
I don't know.
I'm
I
always
mean-
like, no.
We run into that, right? Like the marketing company that we own out of San Antonio, my wife and I, it's like, here I can kind of direct, and in terms of the sales and direct what's going on here and there, I kind of have to I can handle a lot of the finances and really help leverage certain things in certain areas, but I got to just kind of let it go,
Yeah.
or else that kind of drips over into, it's hard to separate. Be like, oh, we separate. That's really hard.
Yeah.
That's really, really hard.
So what does Jeff do? What do you guys have defined roles on what you guys
Yeah,
handle?
so I'm in charge of everything production-wise. In terms of anything that produces revenue falls on me.
Okay.
So with all of our manufacturers, I've sat in all the manufacturer meetings. I've vetted all of our manufacturers, the realtors, the programs, anything that generates revenue has come from me just because that's my strength. And then what we've done is we've split the business in half to where you have a sales side and then you have the service side, and Jeff completely handles the service side.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
he handles all the service guys, the dispatch, the training, getting them their licenses. He handles everything service, inventory, when we order, how we order, all that. And then me on my side, it's just everything sales.
Yeah.
And it actually has worked out really, really good. And it's a role that we've defined for each other, and it works perfect.
So that way he's not in your stuff, you're not in his stuff, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yep.
we're all just working together to get the
Yep.
same.
And then we have Bernice. Bernice runs the office, so she really, I guess you would say, not she's a chief operating officer, and she handles all operations from the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
So then she'll be the one where it's almost like, I mean, realistically, we sit here and say, oh, 18 people work for El Paso Water Softeners. It's more the three of us have taken it. Our perspective and how we view it is that we work for 18 other people.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our meetings on what we need to do and what is going wrong or what's going right or how we can tweak things. So the three of us together have collectively been able to just efficiently run the office.
And are you guys hiring sales staff or anything?
It's hard to say that you're not hiring sales. We always hire sales, but salespeople. But what we have done in the past years, I've turned down a lot of salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that we are getting involved with is a guy that I know that I've been trying to get into contact with for a long time because of his contribution with the school districts. His CFO is a guy that my older brother and Jaime, the insurance guy, dumped a bucket of water on my face. A guy that they all grew up with. He's the CFO of this company, and they dab into government contracts.
Okay.
So right now, they're working with us, and we're getting our past performances and everything in line. And this next year, we're going to start bidding for some really big government contracts
Oh, that's great.
on servicing water and air filters and just stuff like that on that side.
So
we're
for
getting into-
builders, aren't builders too? Are you like teamed up with some of the builders here?
Yeah, we work with some builders. We've presented the idea to a lot of builders. Right now, we were getting a lot of people now are really interested because of what's gone on with COVID and this pandemic and so forth. But I think what we've done is we've just set ourselves up to have the best technology we could bring to El Paso. For me, it was kind of that thing when I saw that no one here was cleaning the water is how we can make a difference in the community, right?
Yeah.
So I think with the builders, what we've done is we have 3 builders that we work with here in town. But what we're trying to do is let these builders know that this is an option for them.
Yeah.
And most of them know because code's gonna change on the air quality inside buildings, especially with COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like that kind of thing. Are we really going to have a vaccine? Is there something really we're going to have to learn how to live with this, just like we've learned to live with the common flu or a cold, right?
Yeah.
And cleaning the air and controlling ventilation inside spaces is really going to come to the forefront, and code's going to change for a lot of builders. So what we've done is we've established ourselves with a reputable brand. And when builders and realtors and some of the market that hasn't touched on that decides to,
Yeah.
like I said, we're here to help the community, and we understand that like I'm not going to change the world by myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change El Paso by myself. But if me, an insurance agent, a lender, a couple builders, a few realtors, and if a few of us can create our own El Paso Avengers or something, right?
Yeah.
And create this strong team, and we can make a difference, each family individually, it furthers our scope.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. So we've been in conversations with a lot of big real estate companies and so forth, and we're just going to keep pushing it along and doing what we can, try to touch as many people as we can.
For sure.
Difference in your staff.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's something that a lot of people don't know about you?
I'm scared of the dark.
Are you really?
A little bit, yeah. That's the first thing that came to mind. No, I don't.
So do you have to have like
No.
night lights? and
No,
stuff?
you know, like RBF, right? Like you're resting.
Yeah.
You're like you look mad all the time or something. Like me, like I have a natural frown. Like I just kind
I have
of.
a natural.
Yeah. I have a little bit of natural frown. I'm kind of a little bit more intimidating. I'm kind of like definitely like an alpha male, I guess. But I don't know. Like I'm a very, very giving person. Like very giving. Like sometimes it's like the things I do for some of my employees, like, dude, that's too much.
Yeah.
You know, so so I don't know. Definitely rough on the outside in
Side.
terms of how I operate, and here it's like we very much so we call it holding the line. There's not very much give, but because I come from service-based sales, like there's not very much room for error. So we definitely operate very tight. I'm very hard on everybody here, but we take care of our employees, and I'm very, very giving. Like I'm very giving with our employees. Our guys work on Saturday mornings, service side and the sales side. We feed everybody breakfast before they hit the field. Like we take them out to eat. I mean, we do
Yeah.
a lot of things for our employees.
Yeah. Which a
lot.
lot of people don't.
So I come off as like that kind of like rough guy, but I'm like very much so like give you the shirt off my back. But that's how I was raised. That's how my mom is.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
where do people go to get your guys' services if they're interested in getting pricing and all that good stuff?
Really anywhere. I mean, you know, Facebook, Instagram, our website, elpasowatersofteners.com. You can walk into the office. You could probably ask your neighbor. Your neighbor probably has our product.
Really? Okay. That's perfect.
I mean, we have, what do we have? I want to say we have close to 1,500 active accounts.
Oh, wow.
We change under the sink filters, air filters, all that. But it's all people who've bought in our product. So within the neighborhood, if you walk your block, there's someone on your block who probably has our product. I would be willing to bet.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure.
And that's always bigger than anything, right? Like, don't come to us and ask us. Go ask your neighbor. Ask them how we took care of them.
Well, because then they can tell you too, this
Yeah.
stuff, obviously they wouldn't keep on having it if they didn't like the product
Yeah,
either.
for sure.
They'd be like,
For sure.
this is shitty, don't buy it. So.
And we are. I mean, my guys on the service side are very good. We have, like I said, we do have service plans. We do service. We're very service oriented. We service all of our product, and we have guys on call. Like if you call at 9 o'clock at night, and you have, and we've literally we've had to have people like, can you send a picture? We'd have people like, oh, we have the kitchen's flooded, and then my guy shows up at 9:45 and it's like 2 drops. Like, dude, just put a bowl, bro. Like it's okay, like we're here, but dude, just put a bowl. They've been here in the morning, bro. Like I gotta pay my guy to be here late, dude. So we gotta kind of, but we have but besides the fact of the matter is that if you have an issue and it's 9 o'clock at night, I have a guy who will get up out of bed and will show up to your house. And it's not like, no, just go turn the valve. And then can't we just, no, we can't. Go send them.
Yeah.
And then you turn the valve off, or right? So we just offer a level of service that you're not going to find very many places.
That's awesome.
That's just how I was raised.
Well, I appreciate you for being on the show and taking the
For
time
sure.
out.
Thank you.
Cheers. This has been awesome. Thanks for being on the show.